Good morning, and welcome to the What Inspired Me Today podcast, a podcast created to inspire you to be the very best that you can be. My name is Stephen Matthew, and this is what inspired me today. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. It is an honor and a pleasure to be speaking with you today. This past week has been really interesting for our family. We've had the highs of highs and the lows of lows. We had an unexpected health scare that led to a hospitalization and surgery. However, everyone is doing well now. But yesterday we had a really fantastic time celebrating my wife's birthday. So happy birthday, love. And what it made me think about was, how am I processing through my day-to-day life? Oftentimes it is mundane, oftentimes it's just the minutiae of life, but then how do we process through all of the emotions and all of the situations that occur as things change in our life? What I'm really talking about and referring to is the act of practicing being present. Being present means to be fully engaged and aware of our environment, our body and our mind, in the here and now, rather than losing ourselves to worrying about the future or reliving in the past. In the world that we live in is filled with distractions, and finding our sense of presence, being attuned to the present moment, is really important for our well-being. Abraham Maslow, the father of psychology, he said that the ability to be in the present moment is a major component of our mental wellness. Being present has a whole bunch of benefits in our life, including and not limited to the fact that it improves our relationships with the people around us. It nurtures more rich and more meaningful connections with the people who are most important to us. It allows for active and empathetic listening and understanding in a deeper level, and it creates stronger bonds and an acceptance, ultimately, of people's flaws, because none of us are perfect. Last night we celebrated Dina's birthday, and what I took out of that event was that everyone expressed so much joy and was present in the moment. People had the chance to loosen up and just be present. And it allowed for everyone to have fun, to express themselves, and to really engage with each other. We didn't really use our phones. We didn't have anything that took us away from that moment. And yet, it allowed us to be able to engage with each other in the best possible way. Laughs were had. We were able to really get into character in that moment. Being present helps us to reduce our stress. It helps us to alleviate tension from overthinking about things, either thinking about the past or fearing for the future. It reduces our stress when we are focused in on the present moment in time. It allows us, therefore, because we have reduced stress, it allows us to then enhance our focus and our ability to concentrate, taking out and filtering out the distractions in our life to be more focused on the present tasks, and helps us to enhance our productivity and ultimately our creativity. When we take the time to think about where we are and what we're doing, we remain more present. As we do that, it helps us to distance ourselves away from overwhelming worries and fears because we are focused in on one thing, and therefore it reduces some of the symptoms of anxiety and depression that unfortunately plagues us all in some way, shape, or form, whether we're thinking about it or not. But what it also helps us to do is that when we are present, we are becoming more attuned to our own emotional selves and the reactions that we have to ourselves. It helps us to navigate our feelings and our emotions, and ultimately to relate better to other people in their present moment in time as well. It helps us to boost our emotional intelligence. And as a result of that, when you are remaining present, you have a deeper connection with yourself. You're able to accept yourself in a better way and give yourself a bit more grace in your own life. Emmett Fox, he said this. He said that the art of life is to live in the present moment and to make that moment as perfect as we can by the realization that we are the instruments and expression of God Himself. That is powerful. Let me repeat that again. The art of life is to live in the present moment and to make that moment as perfect as we can by the realization that we are the instruments and expression of God Himself. So, how can we become more present and live in the moment? Well, a couple of things that we can try. The first thing I would recommend, and it's something that I've been learning to do a little bit, is to learn how to breathe better. Now, that might sound silly, but our breathing is directly related to our mental well-being and how we are actually processing in any given moment of time. So as we control and focus on the rhythm of our breathing, we can actually take away from our distracting thoughts. So there's a whole bunch of breathing exercises that are available to you online, and I would recommend looking up breathing exercises. It's as simple as taking a moment, for example. Take the next 3 seconds to breathe in, and take 3 seconds to breathe out. Do that multiple times, and you will notice that your overall heart rate starts to drop. That helps us to legitimately think about a subconscious act such as breathing. The second thing you may try is reducing your screen time on your devices. Now, this is easier said than done. However, there are some wonderful ways that we can actually do that. One way is to set time limits on specific apps that you know detracts from your day-to-day schedule. But another way to do that, and this is something you can do on both Android and Apple devices, is if you go on the accessibility settings of your phone, you can actually set it to go on grayscale. What grayscale does is it makes your whole phone screen black and white, and you can change this to be automatic if you want, or you can change it back to color. But what it does is our phones are specifically designed to take as much attention as it can, and how it does that is through notifications and through all of the vibrant popping colors that attract our eyes. When you turn your screen to black and white on grayscale, it takes away all of the color stimulus that takes away your attention, and so that's one thing that you might want to try. Practice mindful movement. So mindful movement means that you are actually figuring out and noticing what your body is doing at any moment. What this helps you to do is to ground yourself in that present moment. What is my fingers doing? What is my skin doing? What am I feeling? These things may sound airy-fairy, but what it helps you to do is to remain centered in your physical space. One thing to try out for yourself if you're trying to figure out how to remain grounded, do this. It's called the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding exercise. So, take a moment to pause and name 5 things you can see around you, 4 things you can touch and feel, 3 distinct sounds you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This helps you to remain grounded and present in the moment. One thing that I have mentioned before is taking up journaling. Journaling is a great way to write down your thoughts and feelings and experiences, which can ultimately provide you clarity and perspective of your own life and how you're processing things. This can be a great way to express gratitude, and it helps you to remain anchored in the present moment. To finish off, let me share with you a quote from Amy Smart. She says this: "The best thing we can have is living in the present moment and really enjoying it for what it is and not being in our heads and getting sidetracked. So, give yourself the best gift that you have to offer, which is to remain living in the present moment and really enjoying it for what it is." With that said, have a great week.